call from work, nurse line, apparently. COVID. You probably experienced this yourself if you're trying to get any treatment. Everything's through an app or online these days for the minute, which is cool because obviously it frees up time and space and travel and having to see a doctor, and you go in there and they don't really touch you with a 10-foot pole anyway most of the time, unless they stick a thing, So there's going to be an app for that one day. Maybe we're getting closer to the Hollow Doctor, Star Trek, free up office buildings and a lot of money that gets dumped into stuff. Maybe that would be a good thing. Who knows? It's cool, but I work graveyard and I doubt they're even going to call me. They were supposed to call already, and now I'm just kind of like stuck waiting to hear from them. So I'm going to do this. I guess until I pass out. It's kind of dumb. Like, am I going to miss the call? I don't know. I got it strapped. Injury to the left elbow. Don't want to aggravate it anymore. I'd rather talk to a professional first. Even though I am a massage therapist, it would be arrogant to not consult somebody wiser and more learned than myself over the issue and not play Superman. And there is a formal process. I am so babbling. So, Warcraft2 style. I don't know if you ever played the point-and-click version of Warcraft2. I really enjoyed it as a kid. I haven't played it in a long time, probably since I was a teenager, so I would go completely from memory right now if I were to do that and how that operated. I haven't ever attempted such a thing in dreams. I've never tried to do a crafting system. Been having dialogues about one with Dylan over there on the Facebook, doing a survival in the woods kind of a thing, and it's looking really cool what he's doing, which has inspired me to think about how a crafting system with this grid point and click kind of overhead style would work for us in dreams, if anyone digs that kind of a thing. Sarah, first attempts at stuff. So what do we really want to organize our crafting system? It's all going to be logic based in numbers, so I guess just to put all our ideas in one spot to concentrate it. Again, my commercials, because I am on YouTube. I got my music down low, shouldn't interrupt my call. Should come through just fine. So we're going to call this it's not going to be Warcraft. What's it going to be? It's gonna be kill. I like all these words that come up. Kill. Are you cutting off my music? Is it because I'm getting the call? No, I'm not getting the call. It just stopped. Kill the kids. Alright, kill. Killcraft. I like to kind of refresh my text thing for a while, because it obviously goes to whatever you use the most. So when building a fresh world, you get your transmitters or your wireless and receivers going. It might remember certain words you put in order, or it might model them together, and it helps me kind of like it starts fresh, so you can keep those like it's all zippy zip. So Killcraft. That's what we're gonna call it. It don't matter. It's Warcraft, Killcraft. Warkill, Battlecraft. Should we really focus on the name right now? No, we can So about the music, man, the band name can come later. Uh, Alright, so logic systems in our world, and like in Warcraft, just like in our life in this pyramidal hierarchy system, was completely dependent upon the workers. Completely dependent on the poor peons that got maimed and destroyed, and if you were to take out those peons, you had no way of building your society and your structure. Who really supported everybody, so you had to station your guards and stuff to protect your peons. Because once you took those out, you know you were doing war strategy there. You were blocking their supply chain to be able to, you know, when you're wiping the foundation out from under them. And so it's important to take care of your workers. You know, you injure your workers, they get maimed, they get sick and they die. Then you cannot build. Everything starts to fall apart, and you lose your infrastructure. So it's a good lesson in Warcraft for us all, and maybe for some companies out there building empires for themselves. Want to think about taking care of your peons. And yeah, you can always regenerate more and more peons because they're expensible, but it's the idea of taking care of your peons. And the more you build up your peons, the more strong your peons are. You won't even have to worry about policing them so much because they can do their own thing. You know, they can take care of themselves because they're not children and they don't need to be micromanaged. Anyway, enough spiel. So let's create a peon. Blank puppet peon. Now, the thing is, we can do this with puppets. We can do this with puppets if we want to. You know. We can do this with puppets, and we can do it in an aerial view if we want to. Which Dreams is kind of built for ease of doing. And we can make this guy a peon. It's going to follow him though, which is not what we want because that camera is inside the puppet. So let's get a world camera actually. All right. We'll want maybe that camera. We'll mess with internal cameras on each of the overhead on the puppets, depending if we want the camera to follow that particular puppet in our point and click system. But until we have actually activated that and clicked on him, we don't really want it to home in. So what we can do is we can snap an overhead. We'll have to just put another camera back. That's fine. I mean, it was fine where it was, but you know, it's always good to have your grid and your whatever on that you're using to keep things kind of all in check. See, it's going to tilt and follow him because I haven't trained it not to. I haven't told it anything. It's going to do its thing. No transition. You can mess with how far away it is. Tilt and follow imp. And scale, minimum distance, maximum distance. I don't think we would struggle this far into it. because we've done cameras already. And I've absolutely fixed cameras before, so this shouldn't be a thing. Still, that's in that, but you got camera properties on your puppet, and this, I guess, this is where the tilt and the follow and all that is. But does that make a difference? No. This is not a problem. This is only activating that field of view. Spiral out 1 second. And again, this is all about fumbling right before your eyes, and you might be screaming at me from the other end, dude, this is how you do it, or why are you even showing how to do things? Is because you can see, first of all, you can lock that camera, so, you know, it's not going to follow him. It's following the possessed imp, and I've done this. That just makes your guy a little pointer small, and you make your pointer smaller with the imp scale, but you can also make your imp into a better cursor if you wish, instead of being this little spider. Right now we're just playing with the overhead camera, which we're going to have a world camera for. So we're messing with basically our world logic. So we're going to put our camera in there. We'll figure out how to lock that camera. It's no problem. We'll do it. This is my peon. We're not really supposed to be getting into the details of it at the moment, but we were discussing peon being the foundation of your crafting world, because without them you can't build anything. So anyway, acquire things. And what did peons do in Warcraft? Well, they chopped it and they mined. So your basic units of building were stone and wood, right? So you had stone and wood, and then you had gold, I suppose, right? You mined gold because it was just a cost-based system, wasn't it? This is going completely from memory. So it was lumber and I see. Well, I think that in our system, we don't necessarily have to have an economy-based. I think delete the gold out of it, because just make all the crafting about building up your world, so you don't need like a money-based system on that, at least in mine. Thinking. So let's just use our resources instead of that. So money will be the value of whatever material we're using to build. And so let's start building our society here. Alright. So what's important, what's most important to a peon is his ability to work and provide for his home and his community. And you know, he's weak and vulnerable because he's not covered in armor, and doesn't have all the military might behind him, unless they're standing guard and looking over him, Big Brother style, which he doesn't want. He wants to be free and free peon. Just wants to live his life, have kids, maybe not me, but some people. And he wants to go chop wood and mine, because he's pretty simple. He's your average Joe. Say hi to the world, average Joe. And turn your grid off and say, "Hello world. Hello world. I just want to work. I'm just an average Joe, and all I want to do is work and watch TV and whatever the Joe does." I'm Steve. It's not really my name, but I'm not a Joe. I am a Joe, but I'm also completely out of my mind. I'm not typical. Welcome. And let's see. So let's get the building. Let's get the chopping. We've established that our resources are our economy. We're going to have variables to represent stuff. So I believe, what did you start off with in Warcraft 2? Was it just one peon? All you had was one frickin' peon? Or you had a... How did peon get into the world, just going from memory? Let's see here. I believe, okay, there was a source of peons, a little peon layer that you had. So I believe that's what we're going to start with. Let's just put you away. See, I was going to say there's a couple ways you could do this. There's a puppet way of doing this, or you could do this with sprites. So you could literally, instead of having a puppet like this, you could do this in sprites and create your sprites either square by square in paint, which I recommend using paint for your sprites. You can merge the painting and then you just animate those frame by frame like a square here. You can do that so you can actually see them moving, which is recommended for stationary objects. You can have sculpts, but even for trees and things like that, you do have, if you want to go really simple and you want to cheat a little bit, save on budget, you can use emoticons. Your list of emoticons there, just like in your phone, and Dreams is capable and talks to that. So you can use tree. Some of them work, some of them don't. That are on the list. There's a list. If you can find it just online, I believe. You can just Google emoticons streams. You'll find a Reddit post. Bam, you'll get the GitHub or whatever it was. Gives you the colon way of emoticons like in your phone, and then there's an in-dreams method of using images in text, which is utilizing the tags and are all the little symbols that dreams has, like their camera aperture, their skull, all that kind of stuff, which is interesting because emoticons has a skull in GitHub, but I've tried using the skull crossbones, and I cannot get a skull to come out of the text, and it's just one of those things. It's like some of them work, some of them don't. I don't know why, but there is a skull in Dreams, so you could use that skull text widget. But if you had a forest block on a thing here, you could easily destroy that text block and just have that be that instead of a sculpt, or instead of taking the time to even craft the pixel art. If you don't want to do that, if you want to go extremely simple, you can use those text gadgets to represent your moving objects or your stationary objects. Say you're not even doing Warcraft, say you're building a town, there are little hospital emoticons, there are other, so you could turn on those blocks that represent those objects and place them in your world. That's something that you could do if you would like. Those are just ideas, but right now, let's use the puppet. Again, taking your guides on. Stay upright. Get a little. Just my freaking phone to see if I missed any calls. I didn't. I don't think they're going to call tonight. It's 11 p.m. over here. I work overnight. This is what I was told they were going to call. I injured my elbow right now. My forearm is stiff and all that, and I honestly think this is good therapy for me, because you got to isolate it, but you got to use it at the same time. And if you got the moves, you can move all around and do all kinds of stuff like that. But this is mostly my right, and I get to stabilize this and use my fingers. And it got me thinking about, like, you could have something that helps you, literally says follow this movement for exercises like this, up, down, and articulate this way. I'm literally following my movement, and that right there, that hurts my left elbow. I can show a doctor. This hurts. I'm using my left hand right now, and that articulation, and see there's planes and fixed planes, and so you can marry a puppet like that. That's literally following my wrist movement and my articulation, and I can say this movement hurts. Hey, more advanced technology. Hey, you can put on little nodes that will give you electroshocks, and if, smarter people than myself are out there. I'm just saying you could do this digitally, because, I was talking about those apps and those doctors, like what they're doing now. This all could be programmed with really smart people, and you can have little body suits to help your posture, bounce up and down, or it's not following my legs obviously, or my hand movement, but keep your hand straight. Now once it's only going to follow the sensor, but you maybe in my more advanced knowledge, more advanced things, they'll come out with little other sensors to talk to it, that you can strap on your knees to make yourself be like the puppet, so it will mimic the movements of you and record it. Wouldn't that be cool? Like, the puppet record, but you just put on your little dream sensor spine thing, and you can move and it'll follow you like your puppet, and you can live action snap that movement. Don't you think that's perfectly technologically possible? I think so. I think they already do that, but to dumb that out and then make it available to your home, wouldn't that be so handy to have? I think so. I'm an idea person and I ramble so much and I just deviate from the point entirely a lot, and I apologize. Um, I'm a massage therapist, so that's the reason why I started thinking I marry my movement, because I'm very aware of my body, especially right now being in my own pain. Sorry to whine about it, but it's not all that bad, I'm a dude that can handle it. It's just something I got to deal with. Whatever. I'm just right now I can't be at work, making it worse. Been out for maybe a little less, maybe a little over a week now, counting today, but I don't want to stay away from work and grocery. My team needs me, but at the same time, yeah, that's what you do. You gotta take care of yourself, otherwise your foundation collapses, because your body's a hierarchical structure too, and your heart and your brain's your boss. You gotta keep it healthy and happy. And right now, your brain getting all kinds of pain signals telling you, dude, pay attention to this. And you're like, I'm gonna ignore you and keep doing my thing, and then it's gonna like keep sending those signals until you're like, all right. Anyway, so this is my little peon tent, I guess. And again, this is not about sculpting art at the moment. This is about function. So I'm using basic shapes to represent things. This could be a teepee and a emoticon. We could, give this. You want to see just a little bit of little art, I guess. Um, it's not going to stretch how I want it to. Let's try something else. See, this one, the curve tool doesn't actually, in the stamp mode, unless I'm using it wrong, which that would be something I would like to find out. It acts just like a sphere. So let's do something else. So I try to avoid. I want this soft blend, but let's just use the curve and then a guide to. Turn off the grid so I can freely move. It'll. Look how veiny that looks. You can give it like cool veins and stuff, Shrink it as you go. Go across the surface of it. Yeah, give it real. This will be a cool thing to do, and experiment with like veins and all kinds of things in worlds. But what is this? I buried a terrible attempt at a stitch, I suppose. You know what? We should be using our colors. Back it up, back it up. Well, they wouldn't be using a black color. It'd be more like a hide. Clear that up. Even if they would open up like that, I guess. I don't know. I'd have to. Alright. Alright. I want to make it weird. Alright. Whatever hide the hell this is made out of. Maybe make it all stitched out, you know. Keep going at it. Spray paint her up, give it needle curvatures, cutaways. I could do a sign on it. He didn't really make this look very Ripley or textury, but we can fix that. Did not mean to get lost in the sculpting. This was all for demonstration. But that sometimes helps to see this kind of stuff randomly from time to time. Especially if you maybe you know, it'd be cooler. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. Delete all our little things we made. You gotta pretend like they're shapes that are invisible, because that's what they are. They're invisible cuts, so you're actually able to delete those too. See? Merge it back in. I should have kept that on a more of a grid when I moved that instead of free moving, so I didn't have to bother with trying to manually align it so much. But since it's conical, it's not the end of the world. Let's make it like green and glowy inner structure. Maybe it's interesting. Huh. So you can overlay sculptures like that too, and kind of slightly put one inside the other. Maybe pull it down just slightly. Oh, still got some stuff in there. All right, bring it back. Well, you can see him coming out. You can stitch that up, maybe give it a little more, whatever. You know, it's just not sure really satisfied with that, but you get the point. I wasn't even supposed to go into that much detail about a damn sculpt, but sometimes it helps to see how much better you can do than talking to people like they've never played. Put those two together. Or actually, I didn't need to do that. I heard grouping takes memory. I wasn't aware. Put that inside that, so then it stays. It was the orcs that had the peons, but I just remember the peons the most because I've been a working Gero myself, so I suppose I relate to them. Well, what are we doing? We have an object, so we're gonna put a microchip on it. It's gonna be an object in our world, and we're gonna be able to build more of these. Flippity slap a fat microchip on it. Gonna call it a. They're not orcs. They're some kind of goblins. Imps. We'll call them imp. Imps kind of just do what we tell them to, right? In this dreams world, we'll call them imp. 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 That's not the imp itself, though. That's the imp. Imp tent. Imp tent. Alright. And every object that you make in this world is going to be destructible and is going to take digits and numbers and numerals to make, but this one is gifted to you when you start out because you need a way to generate these guys. I don't remember that being the instance in Warcraft. Maybe you just start out with a single thing. I know the peons do the work in order to make the things, so they're the vital systemic part of your world. So remember your peons down below your pyramidal structure, supporting the weight of your hierarchy. I think I'm going to break now. I mean, I'm not even seeing anybody joining. I'm going to continue this live feed, pause, and you can watch this develop throughout the night. I'm waiting on a phone call that seems important, but I don't think they're going to call, so I'm going to hang out and pay attention to my phone until I pass out. I'm just kind of stuck doing that. It's weird. Sorry for the rambles. Maybe if you like rambly people, I invite anyone to come on and talk, hang out, ask questions. I'm Catatonic-cat. I talk to my cat a lot, and I ramble. And we will be back.